Woo! What a crazy Saturday of college football. But the BIA pod is back, and we got a lot to talk about. Still number one. A lot of changes going on in the Big Ten. A lot of L's being had in the Big Ten. We're going to talk about all that stuff and basically how that pertains to Ohio State, how that's going to affect our season. But before we get into all of that, Phil, what's I see you got the two L's there in the name. Is this one for Michigan, one for Oregon?
Yeah, man, that's good. I think we talked about on Saturday night. It was the perfect day for a Buckeye fan. You got your rival losing. You got your little brother rival losing. You got the new kid on the block who talks about a smack losing. It's just pretty much everything lined up for Ohio State. Both like things that actually help us in the postseason run and things that are just funny to see.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into the Illibuck game, the battle for the Illibuck. Ohio State beat Illinois 34-16. We're gonna just talk about one big take that we had coming from this game. I can start us off here. It just is starting to get. I have to admit, it's starting to get a little boring watching Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. I love the multi-score wins. You know, us winning by multiple scores. I love the defense in the red zone. We are. I don't know. Maybe this is more of a question. Have we opened up our offense yet? I don't think we've had to. I don't. It's not that we've had to. It's just the fact that they're executing on a high level when you need to have it, when you need to get it, and the defense has still just been playing great. We gave up 16 points. You know, I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't enough. But yeah, that my biggest take is just that it's been kind of boring, man. I mean, I like. I love the fact that we're winning, and as you can see, what happened up in Happy Valley, we shouldn't be taking these wins for granted, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, that's my biggest take. Is just the fact that the way we've been playing is not the fact that the way that we've been playing has been boring. It's just a whole like these teams that we've been playing, the way we've been handling them uh, has been just sort of like straight to business. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway was going to be that we're just not going to see a statement win from this team. Like I think statement win in terms of like who we beat. Like it was a good win in terms of the opponent, but it comes up short from the way that these games are exciting for Buckeye fans is when Ohio State starts to pour it on. It's like, hey, yeah, it's not exciting because it was a close game. It's exciting because even when the second stringers are in, we get like a 60-yard touchdown run from our backup running back, and we get the backup throwing the ball, where we get to see every receipt. We get to see Brandon Ennis get his touchdown in the third quarter, where everybody else got theirs. It's like that's what makes it exciting when you're playing teams you're better than. And again, Illinois isn't one of these teams that is a foregone conclusion, but yeah, my takeaway was just that we're not going to really see that. We're not going to see the Indiana. And I know that game's going to get brought up a lot because it's a common opponent, and Indiana is going to be, a top 3 team moving forward. Someone they don't lose, we will too, and people will be trying to question who is better, and that one common opponent will be something that they talk about, at least for now. Like, oh well, they beat Illinois by a lot more, but it's just I don't see Ohio State doing that. Even we're playing a bad team now. I don't see us deciding we're going to run up the score in this next game that we should win easily. It's just, I don't know. So it's kind of annoying. The only thing that makes me okay with it is the Tennessee game from last year. It's just remembering like, okay, they clearly turned on a switch. That was different than they played throughout the year. Certainly, they played in the last game of the regular season, and like Ryan Day has the ability to flip a switch. We've seen that. Like that's something that a lot of people don't know. Something that like Penn State thought they could do, playing bad teams kind of close, and then they thought they could flip a switch, and they couldn't. We can't. We've seen that. Ohio State has shown that. So I believe that will happen in the postseason, or maybe in the Big Ten championship. I mean, it's not going to get to the damn Big Ten championship the first time in forever, and it's like
Yeah.
that'll be another opportunity to do that. But I don't. I actually know it. No, shut me up. We need to do that against Michigan. I'm tripping. I'm actually tripping. Like maybe cut that out the file. We need to do that against Michigan. We need to turn that switch then and show that we can do it.
Well, it's going to be
Hey,
as
I've got dogs. We're dog sitting, and so I've got two dogs who are visiting and who just walked into my office. They're supposed to be in the crate upstairs, so I'm trying to tell them silently. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, foregone conclusion. I mean, it's not foregone conclusion that you're gonna win. We're gonna win the rest of our games, and that Indiana is gonna win the rest of their games. It's just one of those things where it's very likely the way that some of these teams have been playing. I mean, obviously the biggest game on our schedule is against Michigan, so that one is one as even though they are coming off a loss against a team in USC, it is one of those things where we still need to take that game with the utmost seriousness, with the utmost importance. Like we can't lose that game. Out of all the games that we played this year, we cannot lose that game. I think we could have lost the game against Texas, and we'd still be what, top 10 team. I'd say 10. I was about to
Well,
say top five.
it's funny because if Texas had won that game, it's like right now we're thinking, oh, Texas isn't that respected, but if they had
Right,
beat us, they would be respected. And
right.
so it's like, yeah, we probably would be that first one loss team. So probably in that like, yeah, around 8, 7, 8 seed.
Yeah. But hey, look, we'll take the win. As boring as it may look, we will definitely take the win. And we're going to move on to Wisconsin, a team who
Ooh.
is, yeah, who's reeling. Shout out to Luke Fickle. It's probably going to be
Future
his.
defensive coordinator for Ohio State.
Probably going to be his last game, man. But hey, listen, they are averaging 6.7 points against Big Ten opponents. It is going to be a very interesting game to see in terms of, is this one of those games where we actually do run the score up just because the opponent is that inferior? Um, and maybe they listen to the pod and they play this in their athletic facility during practice instead of saying already giving them a loss. But it just seems like they're not playing inspired ball. I mean, the only game I've seen Wisconsin play, I've seen them actually play two games. Saw them play against Alabama, and I saw them play against Michigan, and neither were close. There was never a time in any of those games that I thought that Wisconsin might win this. But yeah, is there any? Do you have any thoughts on it before we get to the score prediction?
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's a team that even though they're really bad this year, you just, especially people who haven't watched the game, which makes sense if you haven't watched them this year, you kind of like assume, well, okay, it's still Wisconsin, and so when Wisconsin is bad, they're average, right? Like a bad Wisconsin team is an average team, but this is a below average team. Like so if you haven't been paying attention, this is not your typical just down year for Wisconsin. This is a really bad year, and yeah, like that. I watched the Maryland game, and it's like in that game, you just assume they're going to like fight back or be able to do like one thing well, and they just weren't good at any phase of the game, and it's kind of crazy to see. So yeah, what I'm hoping is that Luke Fickle is on the sideline talking to Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is going ahead and giving him all the tips for how to run this defense next year when he goes to the NFL and we have Luke Fickle as our defensive coordinator. I hope they don't, hey, let's just do a little powwow. Okay, here, hey, Luke, what I'm about to do right here to y'all is this. So next year, you try to do this too. and then they dap up each other, and then we know the legacy will continue at Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into the score. I've got Ohio State winning 49-3.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I'm going to go Ohio State 40, Wisconsin 9. I'm gonna give them three of
9?
them things, three field
Okay.
goals. Um, I just I kind of believe the motivation just has to drop, and maybe a little bit of the like the clean sheet, the under double digits thing has dropped, and may take a little bit of the intensity out of the Ohio State defense, and so they may give up a little more. So I'm got them giving up 9.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
You said we scored 49. Is that what you said?
yeah, 49.
Yeah.
Backups in. I like to see some of the younger wide receivers get some play in this game. If it ends up turning into a game like that, and I think overall, just I hope that nobody comes out of this injured. I'm curious to see where Bo Jackson is, if he
Oh
even
yeah.
plays. I heard
Mhm.
Ryan Day say that he could have finished the game, but I think that's kind of like one of those things where you don't want the media to speculate because he was limping off. But it would be great for him to get some rest going into an off week as well. So
Do you know what the over under is for our game?
I do not. If I had to guess, I'd say it's somewhere in the 30 mid 30s.
Well, you did pick Ohio State to score 49 points, but you think the over under for the whole
Was
game is
oh
30
fit
mid
oh
30.
fit oh no, I'm
No,
sorry, I
not for
thought you
Ohio
meant
State, just for
yeah,
the
yeah,
full
yeah,
game.
okay. I'd say 59 and a half.
41 and a half.
Oof.
The over under for the entire game is 41 and a half. And so if you're looking at Wisconsin's total points, the over under is 7.5. Juice to the under. So
Yeah.
they're expected to not score more than a touchdown, and even Ohio State is basically expected to score about like 33, 30, being that 34 range, kind of what we scored last game. But Wisconsin's not as good defense as Illinois is, so I do see us scoring more. But I think that just shows you, like Vegas thinks this is the number one team in the country, and they still think that we're not going to score more than 30 something points against a defense that sucks. That's just kind of shows you what people are kind of what Vegas at least and what we are saying too in terms of this team not really trying to flex its muscles at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think one last thing I want to talk about before you transition is the fact that our pace of play. We know that part of that is a testament to Ryan Day wanting to load manage our talent, load manage the starters, not for them not having as many reps. And it's so interesting that he's able to do that, knowing that he has confidence that we will convert on third down. We will convert, have drives where we will score. As opposed to like, when you watch basketball, stars just don't play. They just don't play in a game. And the coach may not necessarily care if they're going to win or lose, but they know they're going to win enough games to make it to the playoffs because they're trying to save their starters for that. It is just so interesting that we have the confidence on converting on fourth down and converting on these third downs to keep the drive going and to eventually score. Um, and to know that we're going to score enough points, we're going to make sure that we score more points than the other team because we're not going to give up as many points. Um, so yeah, it's just so interesting to note that's probably part of the reason why maybe Vegas is kind of catching up to that load management philosophy from Ryan Day.
Yeah.
So speaking of load management, I know the worst transition in the pod history.
You had a good one last week,
uh,
so this is coming back down to the norm.
Yeah, yeah. So James Franklin is out as the head coach at Penn State. Just inexplicable. Phil, let me just start here. Are you surprised? What's more surprising, the loss to Northwestern or the fact that he got fired?
The lost Northwestern,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, you and I have gone back and forth about this on the pod and off the pod this year. I didn't feel like he was going to be fired in the year, but then it was like, well, we lose Northwestern. It's like, okay, yeah, if you lose Northwestern, yeah, that's a different story. But like, I never thought he was going to lose Northwestern. So, yeah, I'm not surprised given those two losses back to back to subpar teams, one at home. That is not surprising that you would lose your job. But I just can't believe they actually lost Northwestern.
Yeah. Northwestern is, I believe they're 4-2 now.
They are 4-2.
Okay, they're 4-2. You know, in the midst of all this, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, did we disrespect Northwestern? I mean,
No,
are
we
they?
did. Northwestern. Sorry, they're not. No, that's not what we're gonna do. We're not gonna relitigate Northwestern. They're not good. They are not like Northwestern fluctuates sometimes between being like the worst team in the Big Ten and then being like the fourth or fifth worst team, and they're like in that fourth and fifth worst team. But I mean,
Okay, okay,
they've beat so far Western Illinois. They lost to Tulane. They beat UCLA. They beat Louisiana Monroe. Like these are not good teams, and then they beat Penn State. So I mean, maybe they're not a good team either. But it's like they're not. They don't have. I mean, that's like their impressive win. Obviously, is Penn State, but they don't have any other like wins that you're like, oh, I'm surprised they kind of showed up there. This is their one kind of highlight of the season so far. I guess besides beating UCLA, but again, when that happened, no one thought UCLA was good.
right.
But now they got a new,
I don't want to.
new young coach.
Yeah,
UCLA.
I picked UCLA as my. I picked UCLA in that game for my upset. That was before. That was when they had their offensive coordinator going into the season
Before they had
before New
Neuheisel.
Heisel. Yeah, offensive coordinator, not head coach. But we won't get into that. Man, it's just so interesting. I just wanted to have this on the show as a segment because yes, big game James didn't win the big games. He only won one, and if you look at top tier talent, and it's just so interesting to see the toxicity from the Penn State fans going toward him after losing games that clearly they should have won, that they could have won. And it is one of those things where I think that head coaching college football at a big time program is almost it's almost like being a politician. Like you are expected to perform. You're expected to come through with certain promises that seem to be given after a certain point. You are expected to um I mean, coming into the season, they were at least expected to go to the playoffs.
No, they were at least expected to go to the Final Four.
Okay, wait. I
But
okay. So I would say for me, I would say at least expected to go to the playoffs. I'm saying at the bare minimum to go to the top, to go to the Final Four, bro. That's a big. I think that's a.
where'd they go last year?
They went to the final. I get it.
They
They
went to
were.
the
They
Final
were.
Four last year, and they brought
Yes.
back the talent, and they added the highest paid defensive coordinator in the history of college football. They have to be expected to do better than they did last year,
Okay. Fair. I see what you're
or at least the
saying.
same. At least the same. It's like you can't be worse than you did last year when the whole thing was like we were so close. Let's go back again. It's like I mean that's my opinion, but like I
Well,
think that
here's
they were expected to do at least as good as they did last year, given that like last year they hadn't made the playoffs, so they made that. It's not like an accomplishment anymore for Penn State to make the playoffs when they finally got over that hurdle last season, in my opinion.
here's the wrinkle in that. This is why we disagree on this. Because the playoff this year is not formatted like it was last year. They wouldn't be playing Boise State. And no, they played SMU first and then Boise State. They wouldn't play those teams if they were the seed that they were last year, which I'm not going to go back and look in my mind right now what the seed was. I think they might have been like 5th or something like that. They were out of the top 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that they would have had a higher hill to climb. To me, they were not a top team in the Big Ten, but I at least thought that they would have made the playoffs. So that's why I say, like, getting to that Final Four, they were either going to have to win the Big Ten, or and they were going to at least have to win the Big Ten to have an easier path to the Final Four. That's why I'm saying that.
But do you think that? I mean, but if they got to the playoffs and got bounced first round, you think that would be like, okay, they met expectations? No, I think that would be you did
No,
not meet
no,
expectations. You were so that's what I'm saying. They were expected to do better. They weren't like I'm not. Maybe you're saying like for you, you didn't. You were to be fair, you weren't very high on Penn State. So it's like for you, you're saying you were skeptical of them being as good as they were supposed to be. But I'm saying the expectation was that they would be better than they were last year. And yes, you're right. They had two easy games in the playoffs. But if they're better, then that means they should be able to beat a good team in the playoffs. So I would say they were expected to. I mean, people had them as the challenge champion. Like I'm not making that up. So people
yeah,
thought
yeah,
they
yeah.
were
I'm
the
not
number one
saying,
team. So I'm saying
yeah,
like I think if I'm saying that I think James Franklin could have been fired if they had gotten to the first round in this playoffs and he had gotten bounced by a team easily, especially if it was if he gotten beat by more than 14 points
mm-hmm,
by a Georgia or something like that. I think he
mm-hmm,
would be out as well. I think it would be a major question because it's like you had all the resources. This is you pulling it all in. It's like that is the thing behind that is not just like, oh, you have a great opportunity. It's like you won't have an opportunity like this again. Like, when's the next time Penn State's going to be the preseason number one team? You know what I'm saying? When's the next time they're going to have
yeah,
all these players come back, a 3-year starter at quarterback and two of the best, 10 running backs in the league and like a top 5 defense, like all of those things coming into play at the same time. And in a season where there's not a bunch of dominant teams, I just think that like this was their year to do it, and that was going to be a struggle if they didn't. I mean, now it's not. It's a moot point because
yeah. They're
they
done.
have fallen off completely,
Yeah,
and there's really nothing he could have done the rest of the season. And I think also, to be honest, Drew Aller being hurt made it easier to fire him. I think like knowing that your starting quarterback is out is kind of an assumption that hey, the season is lost.
yeah,
Like it is what it is. Like we were sucking anyway, but also now we lost our starting quarterback. There's not even like this chance that we're going to all of a sudden rebound and have this turnaround in the middle of the season and at least like play well and be in a big bowl. It's like because of ours out, I think that makes it easier to fire Franklin and just say clean sweep. We're losing our quarterback, losing our coach, and we got to start over next season no matter what. We might as well start over with a new head coach.
yeah. No, I agree with that. That losing your starting quarterback made it easier. And I'm not saying that you're all completely off base in terms of making it seem like the expectation was for them to do better. The expectation absolutely was for them to do better. Yes, I think that the floor to your season, in my opinion, just in my personal opinion, was to make it to the playoff. Depending on who you played in that first game and how you played, I think that's where I kind of disagree with whatever the outcome was in that game. If he would have been fired all the same, but we're here now. We're never gonna find out because they lost to two teams that are perceived to not be good, and so it's one of those things. I'll say this. As my last thing. If you want to have the last word on it, you can. Um, they had an easy non-conference schedule, and those are the last 3 wins that he has at that program. And his last 2 losses are to two teams, as I just said, that were perceived to be near the bottom of the Big Ten. And so, hey, I do think he'll go to another team. I don't know how soon that'll be. I don't know who Penn State is going to get next with some of the names I've been hearing. I'll say this as an Ohio State fan, the number one person I hope that they do not get is Kirk Cignetti. I don't think that he will leave Indiana to go there, but it will be, I think, a real. I think that they will be now. The one I would say caveat to that is the fact that he has not been a recruiter. He's been his two teams at Indiana have been primarily the basis of their production has been off of transfers, and I think that those Indiana players will transfer to Penn State, and
Some of
maybe
these
some.
guys are seniors and fourth and fifth year seniors. So like
Yeah,
this team
yeah.
is
Of
very
course they
veteran.
won't.
So those guys,
Yeah,
they would, but a lot of them can't.
true. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. We don't play Penn State next year, so I don't even think we play them for the next 2 years. But I know for a fact it's not next year, and we'll see what happens in Happy Valley, man.
I think they'll be worse off for firing James Franklin. I think
Hmm.
I think there's going to be tough for them to ever do better than James Franklin was doing at Penn State. Um, and I think James Franklin will probably do decent wherever he goes next. Like he's not going to be bad, just like he wasn't bad at Penn State. I think you're right. Like his last this season is definitely a knock, but I think his legacy will be cemented at Penn State once you see what other coaches are able to do. I think that's like
Yeah.
I think in 10 years you look back and people will be saying maybe he's the best coach ever at Penn State, mainly because they can't necessarily
They're
highlight
not
people.
gonna say that. They're not gonna say he's the best coach ever at Penn State,
They
bro.
might have to, my friend. It's like you think that like in 10 years there are gonna be students who are at Penn State who are like big Joe Pa like apologists. No, like they're gonna be his legacy is tarnished, my friend. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you can't rep Joe Pa, so it's like
Oh, you're saying because of the scandal and everything? Okay, okay. I
yeah,
wasn't thinking
that's
that way.
what I'm
My bad. My bad.
saying. I'm saying there was a little incident involving that program that
Yeah,
he was a leader of, and so
that's fair. That's fair.
yes, I mean Joe Pa obviously he'll never have the wins of Joe Pa, but I'm just saying that I think he'll go down as the second most successful coach at Penn State and the one that they actually will be bringing back. And like it's like thinking about a coach. Now Urban obviously won a championship, but just think about like coaches who are who help define a program. Those are the coaches they still bring back, they still honor, they still talk about. And I think Franklin will be one of those coaches once the dust settles of the bad taste of this season.
Okay, you heard it here first on the BIA pod.
Justin Hughes, big Joe Pa guy. You heard it here first.
Oh my gosh, bro! I'm definitely taking that out of the
Joe
pod.
Pa's the GOAT.
I'm definitely taking that out of the pod. So Penn State plays Iowa this week in Iowa. Is that a game that either one of us has as a part of our best bets of the week? We find that out next. And now it is time for Pick Six, the BIA Pod's best bets of the week. Where I pick three, Phil picks three, and that makes six. So, categories. We each pick a lock, we each pick a toss up, and we each pick an upset. Lock is worth 1 point. If you don't get the lock, it's -1. Toss ups, each one worth 1 point. And the upset, if your upset wins, that's 2 points. Now, last week, uh, we actually ended up tying. Neither one of our locks won. Neither one of our upsets won, but both of our toss ups did win. So the score remains 6-6 for the season. Phil, I will go ahead and defer to you to go first since I went first last week, sir.
So kind, so kind. What a gentleman. Okay, so I this slate I was telling you before. I don't. The locks are difficult, man. There's a lot of games I just don't know who's going to win. I was trying to put some real money down yesterday, and I was like, let me get ahead of these and like pick the team I really like. And I just like I don't like any of these numbers a whole lot. But I look for kind of the duck. Like look for a team that I think is worse than they're getting credit for. And for me, that team is Arkansas. And so Arkansas is playing Texas A&M. This is a team that you bet against last week. Texas A&M. But I think that they've proven they're a solid team, and I am a believer that Texas A&M will eventually crash and fall back to earth, but not yet, and not against Arkansas. So give me Texas A&M minus 7.5.
Gig 'em Phil. You finally said something nice about Texas A&M on the pod. That's crazy. This is history in the making. You said minus, what was it?
Minus 7.5.
Minus 7.5. Okay.
Yeah, this might be the first time
Yeah,
I've ever taken A&M for anything.
yeah. I was looking at that game as well. All right. Well,
This is that,
I
was
feel
that
like
that's not Jerry World this year, is it?
no, I don't think so.
I think they
I
switched it
don't.
out of it. I think they
Yeah,
moved out of it being um, in Arlington.
yeah. I don't think it is. But I mean, that's another team who's fired their head coach during the season in Arkansas, and just I mean, just wild and craziness down there. But yeah. Anyways, my lock. I am going to go ahead and go with the red hot Indiana Hoosiers
Oh, team you
minus
picked team you picked against last week.
a team I picked against that truly did surprise me. I did not think they were going to go on Autzen and win, let alone um, Oregon not covering the spread, or you know what I mean. So, anyways, they won fair and square. I'll have to give them the credit, but they play a Michigan State team that has not been good in conference play. So, um, there may also be a coaching change there before the end of the season. We'll see. But Aiden Childs is not the golden child that people thought he was going to be. I'm including in with those people because I listened to those other people. So yeah. Anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and go to the upset. I picked this team last week in LA, and I'm picking them again in South Bend. Give me USC over Notre Dame. That's my upset.
I like that pick. I thought about it. It's I have been rooting for Marcus Freeman. I have to admit, I grew up hating Notre Dame, but since he's been there, I've been kind of rooting for them in most of their games, not all of them. Um, but yeah, that's a 9.5 point spread. It's definitely higher than I would have guessed based on USC coming off of that win against Michigan. So interesting to see why that spread is so high. But that'd be good for Ohio State, certainly, if USC can beat Notre Dame. Also would help take away the resume, quote unquote, of Miami. Okay, for my upset, I'm gonna stick to the Big Ten, stick in our area of the woods, and give me Minnesota. They're at home, a home dog, 9.5 point underdogs. I like this as a cover too, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the outright win for Minnesota. I think Nebraska is a team that is overrated. Having watched them play against Michigan, like nothing better to learn a team than you have to root for them in one game and they just
Yeah.
completely let you down. Like they just
Yeah.
like watching them have opportunity and just like not do it. I'm like, this is not that good of a team. Like Michigan's not that good of a team, and Nebraska is not that good of a team. So I think that they're overrated currently at 25. I think Washington's a better team than Nebraska, and I think Minnesota is not a better team, but they have a fight here, especially at home. So I'm going with the Golden Gophers.
All right. I don't hate it.
Thank you, thank you. How many, by the way, was Indiana? What was that spread?
Minus 26 and a half.
26.5. Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for my toss up. This team I actually have bet on a couple times this year, and that's in the Big 12, my conference of choice for
Yeah,
the
that's what
Big
I'm saying.
Six.
That's your conference of choice, bruh.
I love the Big 12, man, for betting because it's like I don't know. It's those games are usually kind of close, but I think the Baylor Bears have an edge here playing on the road at TCU. TCU is a team that I think is overrated. I think TCU they're coming off of a loss. Um, But that's not why I think they're overrated. I think that like that win against UNC at the beginning of the season made TCU look really good. And be like, hey, this TCU team might win the, is like maybe the next best team in the Big 12. Like they're up there, and like that UNC team has proven to be completely garbage. So I think that TCU is a little overrated here. I think Baylor is the better team. They are on the road, but I think they can win outright.
Yeah, I agree. The UNC win is a little overrated at this point.
Yeah,
Man,
it looked good when they did it. I mean, they still beat them by a lot, but it's like UNC has gone on to look bad against every team. So yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm gonna round us out, and I'm taking hot hands here. Give me the Bruins. I'm taking UCLA over Maryland. Home game. Maryland has to travel out to LA. I have not been keeping record of my travel games, my travel bets. I think I'm over in that, by the way. But
yeah, definitely in the Boston College Stanford game, it didn't work out for you.
yeah, nah. So, yeah, no, I'm taking UCLA. It's just like I'm gonna take them in this game. They've had a switch. They played a very impressive game against Michigan State, another team I'm already betting against this week, as they face Indiana. So yeah, I just think that UCLA has found something, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that streak up. And Maryland has lost twice in a row. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, they were red hot starting off the season, and now they've cooled off. So yeah, that should be actually a low key good game. I know that I'm not saying it's a top game of the weekend. I'm not saying. I'm just saying for us, you know, just hardcore football, college football fans, that should be a barn burner. And UCLA is
Wow.
going to come out on top.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Maryland. Um, I hope Maryland does well. I hope they can keep their coach and their quarterback next season. Um, I don't know. That's going to be. I don't know who's going to win that game. I didn't pick that game because I don't feel confident. I would have
Hmm.
picked Maryland. That's like I like Maryland and I want them to win. Uh, but maybe yeah, the Fighting New Heisel's great young head coach. So it's funny. He's probably going to be the head coach next year. Um,
I know, which is crazy.
so that's going to be the funny part. But yeah, um, should be a good game. It's a night game though. It's kind of they got to compete with. I guess there's not a. Oh, the night game is USC Notre Dame, and then they got Alabama Tennessee. Nobody picked that game, um, but do you like Bama in that?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, everybody is basically saying Ty Simpson is the Heisman Trophy
People are
finalist
saying that. People are
winner.
definitely saying that, but I don't know.
We shall see. You know what? Hey, before we get into going on, Arvell Reese needs to have some consideration for the Heisman Trophy. I'm saying it here first.
Okay,
Arvell Reese.
next week I want to have a discussion about Arvell Reese versus Sonny Styles. I wanted to talk about it today, but I forgot.
Oh,
But
okay.
let's let's do that next week. We'll see how this game plays out. But if y'all are listening, be on the lookout for watching those two players play and be ready for a conversation about the linebacker room at Ohio State next week.
All right. Well, let's go over our picks here.
All right, I'll go first. So my lock is Texas A&M minus 7.5 on the road over Arkansas. For my toss up, I've got Baylor on the road defeating TCU. And my upset, give me Minnesota at home, 9.5 point underdog against the overrated Cornhuskers. Go Gophers.
All right. For my lock, I've got the Indiana Hoosiers minus 26.5 over Sparty. for my toss up, I've got the UCLA Bruins over Maryland. And for my upset, I've got USC over Notre Dame. Battle for the jeweled shillelagh. That is it. So those are our picks. That's our episode. Everyone enjoy week 8, as we will be doing as well. So, Phil, OH.
Hi-yo. Go Bucks.